Good afternoon, members. Thanks for being here today. Today we have Jennifer Whiting with Durham, one of our great sponsors. So thanks for being here today, Jennifer. We appreciate your time and doing this. The topic she's presenting on is ProSuite Advanced Fundamentals, increasing your efficiency using time-saving integrations. So I know she's got a lot of new things planned and some great tips to present today. Jennifer Whiting is a customer success manager for Due Process Software, supporting ProSuite and Brief Convey customers in British Columbia. Jennifer has 10 years of experience as a legal assistant working in both law firms and notary offices, and brings with her 5 years of expertise in real estate law. So over to you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you, Trista. Thank you, Chad. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Whiting. Welcome to the ProSuite Advanced Fundamentals webinar. Today we're going to go over the populating our file data in a purchase and mortgage file. I'm going to take you through a few tips and tricks with respect to creating packages and applications for finalization of web forms. We'll go through some global precedents versus local precedents, global contacts versus local contacts. I'll also take you through ProTrust. So during our going through our walkthrough in our purchase and mortgage file, we're going to be receiving in funds, requisitioning checks, posting and cashing checks, just so that we can have a successful month-end reconciliation. Our integrations with Title, our tax certificates online, as well as our integrations with title insurers, we'll jump into actually for the start. So I'll end the little slideshow and we're just going to hop right into my ProSuite file. Just give me one moment. Perfect. Okay, so let's get started. Our My Firm tab is essentially our library of settings, templates, account templates, our mortgage products, any of our extra adjustments we may want to set, as well as our undertakings. So this essentially is a tab that creates all of the settings for the entire office. Under the Firm Personnel tab is where we have our integrations with our APIC account, which is Access Point Information Canada, otherwise known as Tax Certificates Online. If you have an APIC account, you can certainly just update your credentials in here. And what that's going to do is give the entire office availability to bring in the tax certificates right through ProSuite, and it will auto-populate the data as well as provide you with your tax certificate right in your file. So if you don't have an APIC account, it's very easy to sign up for one. Essentially, you're just going to come here to Enroll Now, click on it. It will take you to the APIC page where you're going to enter in your email. You'll create a password and you will confirm the password, your first and last name, phone number, and company. And then once you click on next, it will prompt you to add in your credit card credentials. It'll take about 10 minutes. You'll receive an email. The email will provide you with a link to confirm, and then you can just go ahead right away and enter in those credentials in here, okay? The next integration that we have is our title insurance providers. So we support Stewart, FCT, as well as Chicago. We support all three of them. You can certainly become integrated with all three through ProSuite. If you'd like to set a default, you can certainly come here and set your default for maybe you're using one or the other more often, but certainly they are interchangeable. You will get a profile ID that you will need to link up here in the practitioners tab. So ensure that the practitioners tab is chosen, the correct practitioner to put in that profile ID, as well as we're going to have each person, each user that has a login with ProSuite will be entering in their Stewart Title Next Steps ID as well. FCT is the same, so if you have an FCT account, you can certainly just update your credentials in here and validate them. Otherwise, you can as well enroll right through FCT here. So those are our main integrations with ProSuite right now. As far as title insurance and tax certificates go, certainly we, of course, have our third-party accounts in our user tab This is where you're going to put that steward title, next steps, username, password, and your LTSA information is also going to be entered in here so that you have the availability to pull in your searches as well as create your web form packages and applications. Okay, so those are our integrations that are going to help you to run your files more efficiently so that your data can be extracted right out of your file matter over to Stewart, over to FCT, as well as bringing in that tax certificate and having it auto-populate the data fields under the tax certificates tab. Okay, we'll just hop right into the ProSuite purchase and mortgage file. I have populated it previously just so we can have a little bit more time to go through a few more things today. But essentially, if you're brand new to ProSuite and you haven't used it that much, you're going to always come here to new with the yellow sun to open up that file matter. Okay, so you're going to enter in your file matter number, the last name of the client, perhaps, whatever your office particulars are. The file type, you'll drop down and choose purchase, sale, mortgage, or family transfer. Please note that if you are doing a family transfer and you do need to also register a mortgage, please choose the family transfer tab. More often than not, we see that you're maybe opening a purchase file because you know that you need to do a transfer and a mortgage. But the family transfer file actually provides you with everything that you need to do that family transfer and a mortgage. And the web form applications that are available to you are ones that you will need for that family transfer. Okay. Of course, once you choose your file, you're going to enter in your completion date. Adjustment in possession will follow. It's going to default. If you need to change those dates, you can go ahead and do so. And then you're going to choose your practitioner and the responsible person, and then click agree to open it up. Keep in mind, when you click agree, the only thing you will not be able to change is the file type. So by clicking agree, it triggers payment to ProSuite. So this is the only thing that you will not be able to change. So just ensure that you know that you're acting either for the vendor or the purchaser, or whatever type of file that you are opening. If you open a file in error, you can certainly email me and let me know with the due process order number, and we will request a refund for you. Or if it's blank, you can just use it the next time that you do get that sale file. Okay, so hopping into this purchase and mortgage file, the information that I had inputted when I clicked on new will transfer over here into the file matter. The dates will also transfer over. The contract for purchase and sale will not, so you can enter that in as per your contract. Your status is always active. The date that you created the file will be here. You want to always keep your scope local. If you do change it to private, whoever opened up the file is the only person that's going to be able to locate that file. If you're using ProTrust in your file and you have any holdback funds or anything that maybe have been sitting in there, perhaps maybe the legal assistant or conveyancer may be on holidays or has since left the office, it's actually very hard you'll have to log in as the person who created the file to be able to actually find that file. Okay, so it's always good to just keep the scope local. If one person is working on a file and somebody else needs to get into that file, it will send that person a message saying that so-and-so Jane Doe is in this file. Would you like to view a read-only copy? Okay, it's the same thing with locking the record. There's really no need to lock the record. If you do lock a record, I'll show you in the My Firm tab where you can unlock that if anybody wants to know. Okay, these are just admin data fields here. If you are working with physical files and you are sending them off maybe to Iron Mountain or something, and you've got somebody that's scanning files and you're shipping the physical files off, you can put the location and who signed it out and the date that it was closed. Okay, the power of attorney is just for creating the actual document. We do have the precedent in our global documents. So this is where you would just be entering in the donor and the attorney name. notes and share. This is just a tally of whatever changes you're making to your file. If somebody's coming and making changes to the file, it's going to provide a tally of that down here, that information. If you want to create a note or an appointment or a bring forward in here, you certainly can do that as well by just choosing the note or the appointment and then clicking new. And you can certainly type in a note. There's a lot of precedents in ProSuite that are actually quite useful. So you can generate the open file notes, closing file notes. There's a file matter checklist in there. So whatever you're putting in here, you can actually generate those documents and save them to that file matter if you want to. And that is essentially the notes tab. Over to property. Under legal, I've just entered the PID number here. I haven't actually entered any of this information. All I really need to do is enter the PID. I'm going to advance straight to searches. I want to do a PID check. Okay, so LTSA is letting me know that the taxation authority, that essentially the PID is valid. So here's the taxation authority and the full legal description. So I'm happy with that. The PID is valid. I'm going to go ahead and click on title search. This search has already been brought in, but this button will be highlighted for you. Okay. The include canceled charges is defaulted in this ProSuite account. So this is already ticked off. Okay. Once I click on title search, it's going to bring that data just into the title search tab here. Before I click import, I just want to take this little elevator here on the right, and I'm just going to follow down to ensure that, do I want to import this as a civic address? Is this the civic address that's being bought and sold? So it is, so I'll leave that checked off. And then I'll just come down here and just check my charges on and my charges to be removed. So there's a statutory right-of-way that's inter alia to remain on title. You can see there's a couple of mortgages here that have already been canceled. And we've got a mortgage here that's going to be removed. So it's going to automatically tick that off for you if you're in a purchase file. And then there's a couple other mortgage and assignment of rents down here that have already been canceled. So those are taken care of. So when I'm happy with everything with my search, I'm going to click import and then I'm going to click print. Okay. Then I'll go back to the legal tab and you'll see that everything has been filled in here appropriately. And then I can go ahead and advance to my land value tab. In land value tab, I've just populated the gross purchase price of $492,500. Certainly, if you're dealing with a property that's GST applicable, you can add GST, apply it here, or include it in the land value. Perhaps if you are dealing with a pre-sale and maybe a decorating package that may not be GST applicable, you can certainly use the consideration as well. Okay, it's going to default down here to property transfer tax with land with improvements. It's a residential property and the transaction type is fee simple. So that's the default. That's generally what it is. Of course, there are other options here if you need to choose them. Okay, I have chosen the first time home buyers exemption here. And so we can see a partial reduction here. Now, if you have not completed your parties tab, you're not going to see any type of reduction here until you complete a certain area of your parties tab. So don't worry if you're choosing the exemption and you do not see the reduction here yet. Okay. Going on to charges removed, we can see our mortgage has been brought in here from that title search. So there's a CIBC mortgage. We have the registration date, number, and the nature of charge. So we're on a purchase file. So this is all the information that we need to know because it's going to be brought into that undertaking letter to have the vendor's notary to pay out discharge and report same back to us. Okay, so if we were in a sale file, we would be entering in reference numbers. We would be putting in payout information from our payout request from the lender, and so on and so forth. Going on to charges on, we can see that statutory right-of-way has come in and we want to leave it here so that we can pull that into our engagement letter. Manufactured home tab, So this is not applicable in this case, but if you are doing a conveyance with a manufactured home, you certainly can hop over to BC Online over here, and you'll have to get your search from their registry, and you will need to manually populate the data, but we do have our documents coded to be able to provide you to be able to complete a manufactured home. Okay, general is here. So there's my civic that's come in. Here's my outside firm and practitioner. I've entered in their outside file matter so that I can provide them back with documents that will have their outside file matter as just as a consideration to them. The registration agent, if you are having a third party to register your packages, then you can certainly enter that in here. If you want the outside practitioner's officer signature on forms to come into those web forms, you can certainly click this off. Okay, so maybe if they're a sole practitioner and you know for sure that that practitioner will be signing up the clients, because if you do click this off, it is going to actually populate on that Form A. Okay, if you're running your TAF reports and any file ends up being TAF exempt, please click this off. And especially for ProTrust, because we're going to be doing ProTrust today, this is the default trust account. If you know you're going to be using one trust account for your transaction, it's much easier to just set it and choose it in here, okay? So I've chosen a TD Trust Jennifer, and we'll be working with that bank account today. Going on to parties. So I've got my two buyers, Al and Allison. Very straightforward. We're just going to enter in our buyers. If we have a third buyer or our second buyer, you're going to add them by clicking on the green plus sign. You always want to set the tenancy on the second buyer. You also want to ensure that inside that contact card that the details have been populated. So we want to know their occupation, their SIN number, and their birth date, as well as you can choose their salutation here. So this information is going to be extracted into your web forms. So the more information you can get into ProSuite, the easier it'll be to finalize those web forms over at LTSA. Okay, so Allison is a Canadian citizen or permanent resident. She's not applying for any exemption, so I've left this blank. Okay, so Al is the one that's applying. So I've clicked this off. This box is what triggers the calculation over at the land value tab. He has been living for the past 2 years at this particular address. So again, this data will be extracted over to that web form. Okay, for the sellers, Stephen and Wendy Kozak, they've come in from the title search. We need to ensure that they are either residents or non-residents. This again will trigger an undertaking, and you can just double click into their contact card and fill in if they've got whatever their address is and their phone number when you receive that statutory declaration back. If you're providing documents to them and they're signing by way of power of attorney, you can go into the signatory tab and you can certainly populate the information underneath their line here. So this is their signature line. You can put your cursor here and you can type in that paragraph if that Wendy is going to be signing by way of power of attorney, okay? And then when you generate the seller's package of documents, this will all be neatly put into those to that signature line. Okay, following on to mortgages, I've chosen our RBC collateral home line plan, very simple mortgage from our mortgage library by dropping down the library, choosing the lending product. It is a first mortgage. I'm going to be registering a principal amount of $300,000 and will be advanced $300,000 less some deductions by the lender. Okay, so the mortgage reference number is here. The date of registration is here. We don't have an assignment of rents in this case, so we can just actually clear that. And if you have a copy of the commitment letter and there is an expiry date, certainly you can set that if you'd like. Okay, carrying on to draw tab. Unless you're doing a draw mortgage, please just ignore this tab, okay? It's not going to actually do anything for you in here unless you have a difference of the principal and the advanced over here, then it will start to do some sort of calculations. You can just ignore that unless you are actually doing and registering a draw mortgage. Okay. For lenders, we can see that the RBC has come in here and the schedule has also auto-populated. You're going to preview and print this schedule, convert it to a PDF and save it into your drive. Okay, whether or not you have to do some edits to it or not, with this particular one you will, and you will convert it to a PDF, save it to your drive, and you're going to upload the schedule into your web form B. So keep in mind, always come to the lender tab. It's not always auto-populated. It depends on the lending product that you're using. If you have a particular computer share mortgage or with First National, you're going to need to look up that computer share mortgage as per your solicitor's instructions and enter it in here. If you have a guarantor, you can certainly enter them in here if they're going to be registered. And this, of course, is your payment provision. So this is the bulk of your Form B here. Okay. The order to pay. So I've got an appraisal fee, a wire transfer fee, as well as an application fee. So these three fees are going to be deducted off of the advanced amount. So I want to enter them into the order to pay rather than deduct them here in this advanced field here. Okay, so this is what's forming the lender order to pay. And as well as when I get to my in-out trust reconciliation, it will provide that calculation of exactly what RBC is going to be advancing on completion date. Taxes and commissions. So in here, we're obtaining and importing from Tycol. So this is that integration with the Access Point Information Canada. So by just clicking on obtain and import, we'll provide you with that tax certificate, as well as the data fields are going to auto-populate. Keep in mind, you should always be reviewing this regardless. Even though all the information is coming in here, you may need to change your utilities to be paid quarterly or other, as well as if there's arrears. It's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to tick off these boxes to bring them under an undertaking, or if you're going to apply those arrears and debit the vendor right off of the seller statement of adjustments. Okay. The metered utilities as well, this will trigger that undertaking to put them on a meter read. And that's essentially the taxes tab. So going on to commissions, we've got our deposit that's been paid to the selling agent. We've just populated our selling and listing agents, very straightforward, net commissions, gross commissions. If you're a penny off, click that stop auto calc, and then you can adjust your penny in here so that you're not out that penny in your in-out trust reconciliation. Survey and title insurance here. So here is where you're going to choose. Once you choose the property type here, so this is a residential condo, and once I click save, it should be providing me with the continue to order page, and it does. So when you're ready to order that title insurance, once you come here, all the data that you've entered is going to translate over into Stewart Title, into the policy order. So just ensure that everything is done and is complete. Your mortgage information, everything is in before you come here to actually extract that data over. Okay. Survey, if you are getting a survey, maybe in lieu of insurance, you can certainly get one and put in their company and the cost, and you can apply that to the statement of adjustments here. Okay. Strata and insurance, very straightforward. You're going to enter in the management company, the monthly maintenance to provide that prorated adjustment, strata form fees. For strata certificate, I've got BFL in here with my binder fee being $50, and I've added it to the statement of adjustments. Okay, so if I had any undertakings that I wanted to also include before I generated documents, I could drop them down and add them here, okay, prior to generating documents. And then again, my account I've brought in from my library. It's very simple, your account templates, you're just bringing your account template in and clicking on apply library item and full amount paid, okay? If you have extra disbursements or extra fees that you want to add after you brought in that library item, you can, and you can update the fees and disbursements in here quite easily. Under adjustments, this is essentially just a graph to show you your ins and your outs. It's the same thing with the sellers, your ins and your outs. And then all of your adjustments are showing up here for buyers and for here for sellers, okay? The in-out trust reconciliation is here. And this is what you should be really working off of when you're ready to requisition your checks and receipt in your funds, okay? I wanted to spend some time on ProTrust, so I'm gonna hop over there now. So what we're gonna do is we're going to our Trust tab for all of you that use ProTrust, and we're gonna be receipting in our funds, okay? So our first receipt in is a deposit. We received 39,540. Okay, and that was our excess deposit from Realtor. Okay, so we always want to ensure that we're putting that Realtor's name in here. Who is the check from? Because when you're running your reports, you don't want to have a bunch of holes in your reports. Okay, so I can click save and go back just because I didn't print off a copy of the in-out. So Remax City and McDonald Realty. So Remax City is providing me with that. So then I would want to look up Remax City, okay? It's really nice when you're running your reports to ensure that you have all of your information in your reports. Okay, so let's add Remax City in here. Okay, here's the most important thing. When we're receiving in funds, I may be entering it today, but what day did I actually put this into the bank? Okay, so it's really important. The date and time that I deposited this actually was back on the 9th. The excess deposit I put in on the 9th of August. Okay, the next thing is my mortgage proceeds. That came in as a wire transfer. Okay, so that came in from RBC, and the mortgage proceeds are 298, 182, 50, and this is my advance of funds. Okay, and that would have come from RBC, and we would be entering RBC in here as well. Okay, and that did come in on August the 18th, my completion date, which is today. And then my third is going to be a draft that came from my clients. Okay, so it's closing funds from the client. So that was 168.22.29. And they brought that in on Monday. Okay, and that came from the client. If you're clicking off from client and they're not self-populating in here, just look up your client's name here and make sure that it's coming into this data field here. So I've receipted in all of my funds now, and I'm ready to requisition my checks. I could requisition my checks here manually if I decided to. Otherwise, it's really handy to just go throughout your file. So starting at property and under land value, I'm going to be requisitioning my PTT. Even though it's an EFT, we're still requisitioning the check. It will show up as an EFT. It's not actually going to provide a check, but it just says checks here. So don't worry about that. I've set my TD Trust account to Jennifer. And that's a really good question. I wasn't paying attention. So yeah, TD Trust, TD Trust, TD Trust. Going back into property, land value, requisitioning that check. Okay. Save. Next one I'm going to go into is my commissions. And I'm going to prepare the check to go to the listing agent here. and okay. Going into adjustments, seller's other adjustments, I'm going to get a check to go, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go into the seller's SOA, and I'm going to get a check here that's going to be going over to the seller's side. Okay, and save. Into accounts, I'll requisition my check for my account and save. And then you can come over to your trust here and you'll see all of the checks that I've just requisitioned, okay? And so here is our PTT that's going over to the Minister of Finance, really. LTSA will be direct debiting it. So here it's an electronic funds transfer, okay? There's our check going to the listing agent. Here's my check going to the seller's lawyer, and here's my account. And here's my trust in and out. So I can kind of see what I've got left in here. So what I've done is I've set some holdbacks in here. I've got some things that need to be paid. There's a move-in fee that will need to be paid. The rental adjustment has been already adjusted, sorry. The stratiform fee, I could certainly requisition a check for here, as well as in seller's other adjustments where my holdbacks are. I've set a holdback for a special levy, as well as a rental adjustment, I believe. No, I didn't, just for the special levy, okay? So I can requisition checks out of here for that move out and move in. Or if I want to provide them with one check, then I can certainly create a manual check to go over to Strata. But this is a very efficient way of requisitioning your checks to the right bank account as well. So you're receiving into the same bank account that you're requisitioning your checks out of, okay? If you happen to have to use two different trust accounts for your transaction and your PTT is going to be debited out of one, please make sure that you have enough funds in that one account, because we see it quite often where the PTT, or when people are using multiple trust accounts within their file matter, sometimes that's where they're running into some errors. So once we requisition our checks, we're going to generate those checks and we're going to print them out. They should be posted right off the bat, okay? Your PTT is going to be posted here, but it's only going to be cashed out in the trust center. The other checks, you can certainly post and cash them in here, or what you can do is you can do everything down in the trust center, okay? So in the trust center, you're going to go to check posting. You're going to drop down your bank account that you're using. Okay, so I'm using TD Trust. So here we have one hole here for the $200 because the strata fee didn't go in, that's okay. But we want to ensure that we don't actually have any of these spaces. So I've requisitioned all of these checks today, and now I'm ready to post them. So what I could do actually is set all. I mean, it's not generally you're going to have many, many checks in here. So you can always come over here and you can post them each separately if you'd like, or you can click set all, and all of the dates will come in for all of these. So because I'm closing, because I've requisitioned my checks, I'm ready to go. I'm going to post them all here and have them come into my check clearing tab, excuse me. So yes, I want to post 6 checks and they're gone. Then I'm going to come over to check clearing, find my bank account, bring those checks over. And then what I want to do here is I want to ensure that I'm clearing these checks out on the day that they've actually left the bank. Okay, so it's super important. Whatever happens in ProTrust happens in your bank account. The date cleared must be the same date that it cleared in your bank account. Okay, so generally the PTT is either going to go today or probably tomorrow. So I'm going to save that one. Okay, so our account check is going to be cashed on the 20th. the owner strata plan. So this one maybe didn't cash until the end of the month, sometimes later. The listing agent has cashed their check on the 24th. Cobbett and Cotton, they've cashed their check on the 18th. And the $200 move-in fee, let's say that they've cashed it on the 29th. Okay, so I'm going to click save, and now I'm going to clear 5 checks. Receipt clearing. So sometimes people are receiving in funds, but they're not clicking off, or they're unchecking the reconciled receipt area. So please don't do that unless you are just preparing yourself to receive in funds and you know you need to come back and then tick this box off to bring it in, to bring that money into the account, okay? Going back to trust. And then over to final reconciliation. You should always just check, just in case there is a receipt that has not been cleared. Okay, so we'll go back to my bank account. We're going to try it. There's no receipts found. We're all good. And then we're ready to reconcile. Okay. So depending on what the total, the bank balance from your statement at the end of the month. So let's say we're doing the end of August. We're going to choose the correct bank account again. So we always want to choose the start date of August 1st, and we always want to put the bank balance from statement in as per the last day of the month, okay? So you can see we've still got $2,848 here. Is because we have a number of holdback funds that are still in that account. So we're just hypothetically saying that this is a brand new trust account, and I've got $2,848 left in there. Okay, and so that would provide me with a correct final reconciliation. So my equals true bank balance is what is outstanding, is matching my trust liability, my closing balance, which will be the opening balance for September. This is what a final reconciliation should always look like. Okay, so we've got our equals true and our closing is matching with our balance being 0. Okay, then we want to click reconciled, save, and print. And then we want to run reports. After we've reconciled, we will run fresh reports. If you have errors, you can run these reports in ProTrust that will provide you with the keys to finding the discrepancies in that ProTrust account. Okay, the best reports to run always, if you're having an issue, it's the receipts report as well as the checks cleared this period report. Okay, so that will help you to determine the total number of debits and credits matched against your bank statement. That will help you to see any kind of discrepancies, and then you can go back and check your data errors. So that's just a quick rundown of ProTrust and how to properly use it in your file. This is a very simple go through of ProTrust. There's a lot more, but I just thought that I would take you through that to let you see how the ProTrust is functioning within your file matters. Okay, so let's just quickly get back into the purchase file. I want to create a web form package and applications for those that would like to see it. So my file is complete. My file reference is in here. I'm going to call this test Jennifer purchase. I can send a package over if I'd like. This button is optional. This will only create a package. It will be an empty package. If I'm ready to go, I can certainly just click all 3. And then I'm just going to send my package details and applications over to LTSA. It's going to send me a little message, yes, and it's going to drop me right into LTSA, and it should take me right into my package actually. Okay, and it does. Okay, so it's Strata. I'm going to add that form declaration. And then I'm going to return to package. Okay, and then I can put my sequencing in properly if I'd like, and then I'm good to go. Okay, So essentially, that's how you create that web form package. I just want to show you a couple of tips and tricks about the web forms. For instance, let's say you're in a sale file and you're in charges removed. And you've got a mortgage and assignment of rents as well as a judgment. So you're going to be discharging this. And the mortgage and the assignment of rents needs to be grouped. Okay, so you're going to group this for group number 1, and you're going to group your assignment of rents as group number 1. Okay, and that is going to ensure that when you create that web form package for your Form C release, that your mortgage and your assignment of rents will show up on one web form. If you don't group them together, then you will end up with 3 Form Cs. Okay. Another little tip for mortgages: if you are doing a refinance and you are responsible for registering the mortgage as well as discharging the mortgage, what you should do is probably create 2 separate packages. So create one for the Form B, okay, and send the Form B over, and then set another package for your Form C. That way you're not bringing the Form C over with the Form B into the dashboard. Okay, so you can create multiple packages in here for this file reference. Okay, and so that's essentially that. I want to just carry along quickly here to our global contacts versus local contacts. So here in our Find Contacts Manager, if you're ever wondering, what is the G and what is the L and how can we tidy up some of our local contacts? I get lots of questions about that. Let's say that you put in, I always use Remax because there's so many offices. So here is our global contacts. So these are globally deployed by our product services team and our CSC department. Anything that you see that's L is a local contact, okay? So if you want to tidy up some of your local contacts, maybe you have a number of, let's just put in Jane Doe here. There's probably a number of Jane Doe contacts. Okay, so there are, and they're all L. So if I wanted to tidy up some of these contacts, if I had time, what I could do is highlight maybe this contact here, Jane Doe and John Doe, and delete it. What it's going to do is ProSuite's going to let me know what file matter that I used this contact in, and it will give me the opportunity to go into that file matter, correct the contact, and then come back here and delete it. In this case, it's not been referenced in any files. I can go ahead and delete that contact, okay? So let's say I look at Jane Doe Limited, and I want to delete because I want to tidy up. And you can't do this with any of the global contacts, but if you find that you've got local contacts that you want to tidy up or change or anything, if it says scope L, these are contacts that somebody has created in your office. Okay, so this one is not referenced in any files either. So yes, I want to delete it. But you will come up to a message that will say that you've used this contact in a number of different file matters. And so you can go in, change that contact, come back and delete it. Okay. Local documents versus precedents versus master precedents. So again, our global database of documents is here under purchase. It will be under each of the file matters. Also, you will have the availability to have master documents coded and uploaded to your ProSuite. And they are usually located under client, and they will be a different color. They will also have your initials of your office, your firm, in brackets at the end of them, okay? Sometimes the older ones are showing up in your list of documents here, but you can always find those masters if you're looking for them under the client, okay? If you would like to request a master document, you can certainly send a master document to me by way of Word version. Or what you can do and what you should be doing is sending them over to the master document request tab here. And so you can click on this tab, fill in the prompts, ensure that you can attach a Word version, give explicit instructions, make sure your Word version of your master is complete with the wording, and there's document specialists that will upload and code that document for you. Okay, I think we've gotten through most of the agenda. If I've missed anything, please let me know. If there's any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Jennifer. That was a lot of information. Thanks for getting that all in there. We've got a few questions, so I apologize if some have been answered. I know there's some technical stuff, so I'll just start going and let me know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. So for POA, can the generated document be reviewed by your team so that wherever it is appropriate to put adult instead of adult and an attorney instead of attorney, so capitalize as necessary would save a lot of time. You know what? That's a comment. So
yes, and hi Nazra, thank you for the comment. So okay. We have our product services team has reviewed that document. But if you want to email me separately, if you're still having issues with that document, absolutely, we can go over it and I'll send it over to our document services.
Thank you.
Okay, has the glitch been fixed? There should not be a glitch with the tax certificate. We were always being charged in twice due to glitching, so we stopped. Oh no. Yes, I haven't heard of any glitches, and generally if you've been charged twice, you should always let me know if you're being charged twice for it. I mean, that may have been something that was intermittent, or I'm not sure what the issue is. That's something that I would have needed to look at as soon as it happened. We don't get too many requests for the tax certificate coming in twice. Sometimes what happens is they're unavailable because perhaps maybe the city has made it unavailable that we're requesting it through. But if that happens to you, you should notify us immediately. You can send me an email. But yeah, there isn't any glitch that I'm aware of at this time, but thank you.
Okay, if you import the tax certificate from TCOL, where do you access the tax certificate to print?
Okay, so the tax certificate to print is actually right underneath where you order it. So basically, you're going to obtain an import, and then you're going to click Open File. So this will become highlighted, and it will provide it. It's going to open it right here.
Perfect. Thank you. And the last one I've got here, how do you add to your undertaking library?
Oh, I'm sorry that happened about the tax certificate. I have not run into that previously. So I'm not sure why that's happening, but that sounds like something that we would maybe need to remote into your computer and have a look at, or if people are ordering it a couple of times. But you can get a hold of me anytime, send me an email, and we'll absolutely take a look at that for you. Okay, how do you add to your undertaking library? So you're going to go into your My Firm tab. Choose Undertaking Library. Okay, you're going to click the green plus sign, title it. Okay, so New Undertaking. And then you're just simply going to type it in and save it. And then that will become available to you. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, and then you can actually format it here as well. Okay.
Okay. There's two last questions. We'll just wrap up with these last two. So unfortunately, if any more come in, we'll have to address them offline. The family transfer file does not have all the required documents to do a mortgage. Can you arrange to add a transfer and PTT form in a mortgage file?
Okay. As far as I know, it does have them all. Let's take a look.
Perfect.
So here's a family transfer. Here's your mortgage that you can do. Okay. And then coming into the web forms tab, we do have a Form A, we do have a Form B, we do have the PTT available. as well as the release, the charge, the Form 17 cancellation of charge, and the Form 17 charge notation and the fee simple. So that's why I'm saying the only thing that you should not be able to get out of this is a statement of adjustments. So you'll get an order to pay. Generally, if you're doing a family transfer with a mortgage, you should not need a statement of adjustments unless there's a third-party vendor involved. There's another solicitor or notary involved that's maybe acting for one of them. I'm not sure. But the only thing that I know that you won't be able to get out of a family transfer is that statement of adjustments, but in order to pay should be just fine. So yes, we do have all the documents for a family transfer, and I'm more than happy to connect with you if you want to go over a file together. Next question.
So on that note, Jennifer, when I put up the recording on the members area, can I include your contact information as well for the members to contact you? Okay, there's a question there. So thank you. We'll include Jennifer's contact information when this recording is put up into the members area.
Okay, this is a really good question. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just that, I think there's that one last question in particular that you might want to address from Raj, mortgage instructions and the amount there. Can you see that question, Jennifer?
Yes, I can. That's a really good question, Raj. So yes, no, you don't want to make that calculation in the mortgage tab and just manually put in 450,000. Unless that's exactly what's being advanced and you're not going to be listing anything off in the order to pay. Once you start listing off in the order to pay, it's going to provide you with those deductions by the lender. Okay, it's really important. And in a mortgage file, you have the opportunity to deduct by lender or by notary. So if the principal amount that I'm registering here on the Form B is 300,000, great. The advanced amount I've just tabbed over to 300,000 because I have an appraisal fee that I've read my instructions. So the lender will be deducting an appraisal fee. There's a wire transfer fee, as well as an application fee that they're charging. Not always, if you don't see a wire transfer fee, but you are going to be charging, you may decide to put this wire transfer fee maybe in your accounts and your disbursements or not. In this case, I'm using this as the lender will be deducting it, and they have let me know they will be. So when I come over here to my in-out trust reconciliation, you can see that it's already calculating that I'm actually only receiving 298,182.50. So it is making that deduction here. If you were going to add in what the lender was going to be deducting as well as doing a manual deduction in advance here, then you're going to be out. You're going to have issues with closing. Does that answer? What programming language is used to create ProSuite documents? That's a good question. That's an excellent question, and it may be one that I may need to answer offline.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Sure.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Trista, if you want to wrap things up for us. Thanks, notaries, for joining in today.
Excellent. Thanks, notaries. Thanks, Jennifer, and to Diane Durham for sponsorship as always. I will have this uploaded by tomorrow morning in the members area, and Jennifer's contact info will be there. So any case specific or anything, just reach out to her directly, and I know you're happy to help. Hey, Jennifer.
I am really happy to help. Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. I hope everybody got something out of today's presentation. If there's anything else you'd like to go over, just get in touch with me anytime.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. And notaries, we will have a lunch and learn in September. Details will come out with that shortly. And of course, our AGM and 1CE session is coming up on September 25th. So registration is open for that as well. And always, I'm available for questions. Chad, did you want to add anything?
No, that's super. Thanks, Trista. I hope everyone has a chance to enjoy what remains of summer. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, everyone. Jennifer. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.